Well, greetings, my scattered brothers and sisters in the Lord. Trust you know the Lord is with you wherever you find yourself scattered today, and that you know that His presence with you is more than enough for whatever you might face today. Well, I've looked all over and I haven't been able to find my hat, so I'm back to my old faithful John Deere. But I'll keep searching. Who knows, it may show up. But we are in the last parable of chapter 4, where Jesus has been telling this parable, this series of parables. He started out with the parable of the sower, and then he talked a little bit about, no one puts a lamp under a bowl or hides it under the bed, but on the stand. And he talked about how the farmer plants the seed and sleeps, gets up, whatever the farmer does, the seed sprouts and grows, and eventually the farmer harvests it, and kind of calling attention to the mysteriousness of the growth. And today what we're looking at is the parable of the mustard seed. And Jesus says that the kingdom of God is like a mustard seed. It's the smallest seed in the garden, and it's planted and it becomes a big tree in the garden. So big that the branches are strong enough that the birds come and make their nest in the tree. In fact, we got a little nest right here. I don't know if I can get it zoomed in here or not, but oh, there we go. Anyways, cute little nest. Today we have another seed parable. The kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of God, is like a mustard seed. And a man sows a mustard seed into his garden, and then that seed, it's the smallest of all the garden seeds. It looks really insignificant, and yet it becomes a tree. And it becomes the largest tree in the garden, so large that the birds of the air come and make their nest in the tree, and they find shelter there. And that's what the kingdom of God is like. And so just thinking a little bit in terms of the kingdom of God and this mustard seed, it looks insignificant. It looks like nothing much is going to come from it. And yet it becomes the largest, it becomes the biggest, and eventually even the birds come and nest in it and they find their shelter in it. Kingdom of God looks insignificant. Starts with Jesus, looks rather insignificant in terms of his rule. He's just got some followers, but nothing that compares to the ruling council in Jerusalem of the Jews, and certainly nothing that compares to Rome. And yet the message is it's the kingdom of God that becomes the biggest, largest kingdom, and that the birds, that others come and actually find shelter in it. And I think about this maybe in a couple of ways. I think about it in terms of the church as the kingdom of God. And I know you can't make an exact equation between the church and the kingdom of God, but just in terms of, the kingdom of God is basically people living under God's rule. I like to think that the church lives under God's rule. But the people who are living under God's rule, and you just think about how insignificant it looked to start with, and yet Jesus' nation is the most significant nation, most significant kingdom in the world today. Can you just imagine the shape that the world would be in if you didn't have Jesus' nation here? If you didn't have all those people who live under the kingship, the lordship of Jesus, and you think about all the good that's done by the people of God, all the birds, so to speak, that find shelter, that are able to nest, that find refuge amongst the people of God. So I think about it that way, and just how it reveals that it looks so insignificant, and yet there are so many people that find refuge in the people of God, those who are living under the lordship of Jesus Christ. And then I think about it kind of a second way, how it can seem pretty insignificant in our own lives, and yet it grows and it becomes large in our own lives, so that we're a people of the King, and that others can actually come and find shelter, find rest in our own lives, in our own hearts. And so the kingdom of God is like this mustard seed. It may not look like much when it goes into the ground, but it becomes incredibly significant. And I find that encouraging for ministries. I find that encouraging for the church. I find that encouraging just personally. And again, we've been talking a lot about hearing. And if we kind of stick with it in terms of the kingdom of God, like this mustard seed that's just a word, the gospel word, and it takes root, and that gospel word grows into a plant that is the largest plant, that actually provides rest, security, places for people to take refuge from the harsh realities of life and of the world. Well, we'll keep chewing on these parables. God bless. Have a great day. And I'm going to search a little bit more for my hat. It's got to be out here somewhere. John Mark gave me that hat, favorite hat. Anyways, God bless. Have a great day. The search continues.